podcast where free-bearded film fans and behatted film fans watch the best and worst horror movies and newest and oldest of horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condo with Kate, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And our semi-regular, increasingly regular co-host, Mr.
Irregularly regular, Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, guys.
Hey, I like your hat.
Hello.
Oh, thank you. It's my favourite hat.
I can tell. You look good. Suits
I
you.
can tell.
Yeah.
It looks great.
How are we all doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. All right. We all got enough toilet paper?
Completely stocked up. Like I said before the show, I'm never going to be running low on toilet paper.
Wait a minute.
You're
You're
hoarding it. The throne of toilet paper.
There's a throne of toilet paper you're sat on right now. I can tell. You look too comfy.
I'm very comfy, sir.
Triple ply.
Oh no, it's the
To be
cheap
fair,
stuff.
this-
It's the cheap stuff.
If this is the end of the world, it's going to be well disappointing, isn't it? What a lame way to go out. Just people
The flu.
fighting over toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah.
What's going on? Have we got any horror news or anything? Other than COVID-19?
Yes. Got some horror news. Other than COVID-19, well, that's the main story on all the horror blogs currently. COVID-19, we're all going to be alright, don't worry about it. We got some news, moving on to some news. Max von Sydow has died. He died today,
yeah.
didn't he? Sorry, The Exorcist, 90 years old. He's kind of, obviously, he's been like an ageless stranger. He's always just been the same age, hasn't he, since he started in films. But yeah. Acting career dating back to 1949. Absolutely loads of stuff. Obviously, most recently stuff like Star Wars and Game of Thrones, but his most iconic role as Father Merrin in The Exorcist, but obviously loads of other iconic characters in the horror genre as well. He played Ming the Merciless.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
Flash
Oh, I did not know that was him.
That's a good one. See, he's got range.
Yeah.
So yeah, rest in peace. Also, I didn't know this. He voiced Vigo the Carpathian in Ghostbusters 2.
Vigo Scourge of Carpathia. used to drink
Yes.
in a bar in Tamworth. Like not him. A man used to look exactly like him.
Oh, okay.
Anyone from Tamworth, shout out. Used to see Vigo in
Vigo.
Bonds all the time. Yeah, Vigo.
I am drippings with goo. Yeah, so he passed away. But there was another death. I don't know if you guys saw this. A guy called Nicholas Tucci, who was in Your Next and Channel Zero. He passed away. I think it was a long illness, and he'd kind of hidden it from people. I don't think he'd let people know. But he's just 38 years old, so that's pretty terrible. But yeah, do you remember him? He was the guy who played Felix in Your Next, the kind of like ultimate, the person who wasn't the bad guy but ended up being the bad guy. And yeah, he was in 2 episodes of The Dream Door, Channel Zero, The Dream Door.
I've not seen that
I've
one.
not seen that series.
Okay. Well, there's that. There we go.
That's sad. Yeah.
Moving on from that, probably the biggest news of the week is that HBO and Chernobyl creator are re-teaming for an adaptation, a TV adaptation of The Last of Us.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So is it Craig Mazin doing that, or?
So it's let's have a look. Craig Mazin, yep. So I think that Neil Druckmann, who was the creator / writer, he's on board to co-write and produce. So hopefully, the HBO series will cover
okay with
the
that.
original game.
I'm okay with that, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I just want the game. Like, the game is the pinnacle version of that story.
I think with games like The Last of Us and arguably things like God of War, Mass Effect, things that are got that kind of scale and are that huge on story, do you need a film adaptation?
I don't think you do, really.
Yeah, and especially given the controversy with the casting, she is but also is not Ellen Page, right? Who are you going to cast?
They've kind of in the second one, they've kind of gone away from that a little bit, haven't they? She doesn't look so much like Ellen Page anymore.
Legally distinct from Ellen Page. I guess she was legally distinct from Ellen Page before.
Yeah.
Ella Page. Yeah, so I kind of agree with you there. Like, obviously, it's perfect as it is the game. It'd be interesting to see what they do with it, but if they're just going to retell the events of the original game exactly as the original game pans out, then that'd be cool to see.
Do you know how people always say? Well, they don't always say, but people say TV and film is art and video games are not art, it'd be interesting because the video game is such a mature story in the sense of what happens in the story and the way it's told. I can't imagine the TV show is going to be as maturely produced as that.
I would hate to see it just be a general.
It's gonna be like The Walking Dead. It's gonna be like The Walking Dead with clickers.
Yeah, I'd hate for that to happen, and hopefully it can be like a limited series because something I've noticed at the moment is obviously I've almost finished up on The Outsider. I think I mentioned that last week, where it's 10 episodes and it's really outstayed its welcome. And I just think, I know some people do like longer series, but I think they just work so much better when they're like 6 to 8 episodes and just feel like a nice contained story. Yeah. No filler. Yeah, there's definite filler. There's definite filler episodes where like people are just, what's the next step, and they never really make that next step. I'd like, if it was limited, I think it would feel a lot more important. I guess if we end up getting series after series after series of it, it's going to really water down, what The Last of Us is.
Yeah, I'm more excited about Last of Us 2, but there we go.
Yeah. Sticking with the video game stuff, Amnesia Rebirth has been revealed as the next Frictional Games project. Cool. There's an announcement. There's an announcement trailer. Yeah, there's an announcement trailer. I haven't really read much into it apart from watching the announcement trailer, but it's set for release this fall via Steam, I think originally. But we might get something on console.
Come on, everything.
That's the case. Yeah. Mention that I did finish Soma this week. You obviously, Luke, you've played it. Have you played it, Andy? Did you play Soma?
No, I've got it, but I haven't played it. I picked it up on a sale on the Xbox, and it went into that everlasting pile.
Yeah. Get it to the top of the pile like immediately. Like if you're in the mood for. I mean, for me, it was after we watched Underwater. Then I watched The Abyss, and I was kind of like, I wanted to scratch the itch of all the underwater horror stuff, and it's really, really good. Yeah.
The best thing about so Andy, Soma's not very long, but it's quite quick, 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe something like that.
Oh, I can blitz through that.
But it's some of like the storytelling beats that are pushed into there are so good, and I don't think it's been done anywhere before quite as effectively, to my mind. It's one of those things where you just have to play it. Really,
it's survival horror, but like the survival horror parts are kind of like they're sporadic. Holla, boy.
All right.
They're kind of like sporadic, like with something like Alien Isolation, which is like a masterpiece, but I feel like it does get a bit exhausting, like when you're really, really struggling to get through parts, and you're just, I know that's the way that game was designed, but with this, I feel like you feel satisfied when you get through certain parts, a sense of accomplishment, I guess, when you get through certain parts, and then you're rewarded with like another piece of the story. I loved it, and it was on my gaming pile for absolutely ages, Andy. I think I had it in a sale as well. But yeah, I thought, why not give this a little go?
I think on the console version you can even switch the mechanic. You can switch the game elements off and just enjoy the story. Because I think one of the best in inverted commas games I played a couple of years ago, What Remains of Edith Finch, was incredible. So good. Yeah. Without any spoilers, the fish cannery bit was incredible.
Like, that is a point of gaming I'll never ever forget. Like, it was so good. Well, I think some of the moments in Soma are up there.
Oh, I'll do it then. I've got a little bit of the Outer Worlds to finish, and then I'll do it.
Yeah. There's a couple of like reveals in Soma where you're literally just like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, right. And last piece of news that I've got here is James Wan is producing a monster movie for Universal Studios. So in the wake of Leigh Whannell's pretty much home run with The Invisible Man in terms of how much money it's making, and critically. So Robbie Thompson of Supernatural is apparently writing the script. One will be producing through Atomic Monster, whatever that. But apparently the plan is not for him to direct the film, but his name has got enough clout, I guess. So sources say the story takes its cues from Universal's classic monster legacy and shines it through a modern prism. With shades of Disturbia, the story will focus on a group of teens who discover that a neighbor is building a monster in his basement. Spoiler: the monster gets loose.
So it's a Frankenstein.
Yeah. So it's potentially a Frankenstein. Yeah. So in terms of like the Dark Universe,
I was going to say Wankenstein, James Wan, not the Well, maybe.
Oh yeah. Well,
I thought
James Wan
that's what
in
those kids. That's what those kids might say to that neighbour because he's a bit of an oddball, a bit of a loner. Oi, Wankenstein! Oh,
If you Google
that's why he's building a monster.
Wankenstein, I guarantee you Wankenstein exists in some form.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the Dark Universe stuff in its original format is dead, right? It's gone. We're not getting
Rest in
anything.
peace.
But I like the fact that they've kind of gone right. Instead of doing this interconnected universe, we're still going to essentially do remakes of the Universal horror classic monster movies, but with a slightly different edge. I guess there's a few things that are currently in the works.
It feels like they've gone. Who really knows how to make modern horror? James Wan and Leigh Whannell. They've done Insidious, the Conjuring franchises, Upgrade.
Yeah.
But some other stuff.
You say that, but at the same time, this film, which we are discussing today, doesn't feel like any of those films.
Do you not feel like it's sort of fits in with Upgrade, and it's not as far future, but it's like a horror steampunk.
It fits in with
horror cyberpunk.
It fits in with Upgrade, definitely.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. The guys have given me they haven't really let us down previously. Whether however you feel about like The Conjuring and where that's gone, but produce solid movies.
Yeah,
I'll go watch it.
I've not seen Aquaman.
Yeah, so
good.
Oh. Aquaman's great.
James Wan.
I mean, I like that.
Bit of fun.
I liked it. Anyway.
I liked the big red lasers on Black Manta. He was great.
Yeah, that was good. So that's it. Any more news? Anybody?
What was that trailer I saw before?
Antebellum.
Before. Yes, Antebellum.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was waiting to watch T. Brahms' Three Furious.
Oh yeah.
Brahms back in the
I've heard a bit about this. It looks like they've sort of really attached the Get Out / is Jordan Peele attached to it in some way?
I think there's a woman with a nosebleed, right? That feels pretty.
There's a woman. yeah. Is that woman having a nosebleed?
Yeah.
She called it Get Out.
Yeah. I have no idea what's going on in that. It's Janelle Monáe, I think, in it. And who knows what's going on in that trailer?
Trailer looks insane.
Yeah.
Like I very rarely turn up at the cinema early enough for the trailers, but I was on this occasion on time, and it was that followed by The Green Knight, which also looks incredibly bizarre.
Yeah.
That looks great.
What is that? The Green Knight.
Green Knight. I knew nothing about it, and I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh shit!
So it's like another It's like another A24 film, but it's like based on a medieval poem, like medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's based on like the Legend of Arthur, isn't it? But Dev Patel's in it.
Geoffrey of Monmouth, however you pronounce that. One of his legends or something.
Yeah.
Those stories are great.
But let's go.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm interested.
What else? What have we been watching?
Well, so when I went to watch today's film, by the way, did I talk about Resi 2 last week? I don't think I got a chance to.
You're playing it, but I didn't sure you mentioned finishing it yet.
Well, I finished it, and it's amazing. It's so good. I couldn't stop playing it. Like it gets to a certain point, maybe when the Mr. X character sort of shows up, where you just suddenly realise you cannot stop playing now until you find out what the hell's going on, and you made it into the sewers and then into the bits after that. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's cheesy as hell, but it works for it. It owns its cheesiness. I'm doing the other run through the other character now.
You're doing it with Claire now. With
the second.
You met the police chief? She called him a fucker yet?
I don't think she's called him a fucker in this one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Not yet. Anyway,
one of my favourite cutscenes calls him a fucker.
But yeah, I've had some like absolute blast. It's not as like viscerally scary as Outlast or Resident Evil 7 those, but it's fun. Like it's a fun game of tag when you're trying to run around zombies and they're jumping at you and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. How did you
panic
find
of your resources? Yeah. Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
How did you find the final battle with Mr. X?
I think it was alright. I think it's quite difficult from what I remember.
I think the whole game is like pretty tough. I found loads of different bits of it tough, you know.
Well,
But I think it was a decent. So we're supposed to be getting a trailer for the third one. Like I'm assuming it's got to be like in the next week or so, right?
Pretty much a launch trailer at this point, right? It's out this month. Oh, is it the very end of the month?
It's out early April, I believe.
Early April.
But you know, we've got to be getting because they obviously did a one-shot trailer for the second game, so
yeah,
I would like to see something soon. I've got to get my hands on it, mate. They did like a graphics comparison on like PlayStation. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did, yeah.
With like the old game. And everything I see of this game, I'm just like, oh my god.
The lighting.
I'm gonna have to get it straight away. Get straight on it. Run through. Nemesis was one of my favorites. Like I had a PlayStation 1 that you could play like imports on. And I remember buying it. I went to Computer Exchange in Birmingham, and Nemesis was out, and I ended up got a bit of a advance on the next month's pocket money from my dad. He goes, "Oh, come on, I want to get this Resident Evil game," and I went and bought it. And I remember getting home and blitzing it like for the rest of that weekend. And it was one of those that I guess it's very rare that you do it these days. You know, you get a game and you finish it, and then you jump straight back in and you do it again. And like, I'm not even getting anything else out of this now. There weren't like trophies or achievements or even necessarily things I was going to unlock. But I remember I dived into the mercenaries mode and I wanted to unlock everything because I couldn't get enough of it.
This Resident Evil 3 remake, it's got like an extra game thing that looks completely different. It's a
the online one, right?
4 versus 1 game where one person plays like the games master or something. So you're like
Bertie Wester, like sending out all the beasts to get them, like Left 4 Dead, right? When they had the director that send out the zombies.
Yeah, play that. Yeah. But I know I've never been as big a Resi guy as you two are, but I'm definitely coming around. Resi 7 and Resi 2 are now up there. Some of my favorite games of all time, I think. Yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to the rest. Anybody see anything?
Shit.
Anybody see anything I want to talk
You've
about?
been watching anything, Ben? I've been playing another horror franchise ready for a new release. I went back and played classic Doom this week.
Oh, nice.
The original. They were on sale on the Xbox. They've just done like a bit of a tweak up and a re-release with all the multiplayer on there as well of all the old ones, and they were on sale for like £2 each. So I got Doom 1, 2, and 3, and I did 1 first. It's still so good. Like the design behind some of those maps and the fact that there's par times on them that you should be able to run through it in seconds, and you can. And you've seen people do them, but it's just still so much fun to go through. The weapon balance is great. It's just, I had a great time playing through, and I was only going to play it in passing, but I ended up thinking, right, I've started now, I'm going to complete this.
Yeah.
And I think I may do at least 2 before Eternal comes out, and that's pretty soon as well, because the Doom remake of a couple of years ago was brilliant.
When does Eternal come out?
Take it out. I think it's either the end of this month or the end of April. It's pretty soon.
I watched. There's a video that they've shared that the Doom guys have shared, and it's like the heavy metal choir that they used on the soundtrack. Just like probably about 20 like metal vocalists like screaming this chant. It just sounds unbelievable.
Is it the same?
Just gonna be like
music guy.
Yeah, Mick Gordon. So he's doing the same sort of like tech metal style soundtrack, which is just amazing. All this glitchy heavy guitars and stuff.
The music, the soundtrack of us just adds to the feel of that last Doom so well, and it plays so differently from a lot of other first person shooters, especially like with the military ones that encourage like the hiding. Like you are really pushed to play it quite aggressively and quite acrobatically, so you're jumping around the maps and everything like that.
It is tough. Like you feel pretty much you feel pretty much invincible, like because you're just like an absolute badass. But at the same time, you can just get your head ripped off in like one fell swoop.
It's out on the 20th of this month, so it's really close.
Oh man, it's going down. Do I buy that? And then, because the thing is, if I buy that and I haven't finished it, and then Resident Evil 3 comes out, I don't want it to just knock that one out of the way.
Yeah. Also, one more gamey thing is Final Fantasy 7. We've got to play that at some point when it comes out proper.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous of not having a PlayStation at the minute for that.
Of course, yeah. Sorry,
I'm an Xbox man. Yeah. I might get one after all the other like. Heard you guys talk about The Last of Us and God of War and Spider-Man, and they all sound great. Final Fantasy, I might stretch and get a like a second-hand one between Final Fantasy and maybe Astrobot, because he
amazing.
is a delight. I had to go at my friend's house. I was waving to him.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a little living robot dude in your head. It's great. Okay, so not so much a game thing. So before this, I had a two-parter at the movies. I went to watch Birds of Prey and then The Invisible Man. Birds of Prey was way, I don't know, it was pretty better than I thought of it was going to be in some aspects, but again, I did feel like it was a little bit cheesy pie for my taste towards the end. I don't like the team-up moments. I don't like those bits when it feels like...
The team-up felt a little bit like an afterthought to me. I don't know if you felt like that.
Well, it was when they're in the thing, they're like, well, we need to all work together, and they're like fist bumping and shit. I was like, this isn't my bag. I like... It just felt on,
get out of here.
The first half an hour is fantastic, I think. And what's the name? What's the flavour? What is the flavour? Yeah, she is actually amazing. There's some great bits of her stabbing people when she's like paralysed and stuff.
A lot of people in it are great. I really liked Hugh McGregor as well. I thought he was very cool in it. I think everyone in that film is doing a good job, and maybe controversially, maybe this is a stylistic choice thing. I think, or maybe it's the way that you can get away with more in a film with certificates and everything now. Arguably, the physical fighting that you see, I prefer the style, the way that is shot and you see it on screen, than films that have a lot more critical acclaim. Famously, like, I hate the way the fighting is done in like Batman Begins, like too many fast cuts and you never actually see the impact.
It gets
of any
really
hits.
close, doesn't it? It gets so close into like the fighting. There's like capes and arms and legs.
Yeah, cut, and you never really see the impact of anything.
Yeah.
Whereas in that, like the fighting's pretty brutal and very well done.
So apparently, I don't know the extent of this being like how true this is. I know he was involved in some way, but somebody who like choreographed a lot of the fighting in John Wick was brought in to when they shot the action scenes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I think the director, she had no experience of shooting like action, so those bits he came in to like choreograph them. So
yeah, it
worked.
It's a lot of fun. It's got that kind of irreverent, not quite as out there, but the Deadpool sort of PG, what do they call it, R-rating sort of humour and stuff. It's good. Yeah. It's just a fun film. I don't think it comes together quite in the end, but what you said, it's decent. And then the only other thing I watched, we're going to be talking about next week, is I watched the director's cut of Nightbreed. Oh no, sorry, one more thing. Go on, sorry, I'll tell you.
Is the director's cut? It's the director's cut 2 hours long.
Exactly 2 hours. Yeah.
Because I watched the 2 hours long version, so it looks like I watched the director's cut. There we go.
Yeah, there's the Cabal cut, which was pieced together with different VHS bits and DVDs and stuff. That cut was actually made by one of the lecturers at my old university.
Was it?
Yeah, Russell Cherrington. I remember because he came into work where he used to work once and was telling me, because I used to sell Apple computers and stuff, and he was like saying, "Yeah, we're editing the Clive Barker film Nightbreed," and at the time I just thought, "Oh, he's just bullshitting." Sure.
All right, mate.
Because he seemed like a bit of a strange guy, but no, he did. It's pretty cool.
I'm currently reading Cabal, and I picked this book up on eBay. Look at the color of it. It's just like the darkest brown pages.
That's what you want from a book like that. That's what you want.
It's got some real must. It's got some real must to it as well. Like it's been just at the bottom of someone's dirty old drawer for decades. But it's like a 1989 print of it. So
it reads super 80s, right? Doesn't it read? That book reads like you're watching an 80s horror movie. Like there's something about it that feels super 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, you've increased my interest in reading it tenfold. I might have to go to a stately home, having a book sale, and get a copy of my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do Nightbreed next week, yeah? I know we've been knocking that about for a while, but yeah, we'll do that.
I saw Ben, who I owe a song to, from the Facebook group, and Dan were really pushing for it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it, guys. I might even catch up and watch it myself.
Yeah.
If you're available, man. Have you seen anything, Andy, this week, apart from you?
Yeah, no, apart from my gaming, and then other than that, I'm just living through the horror of packing boxes for the move.
Terrifying. So I saw Fantasy Island.
How was that?
Which I was I was pretty much set that I was gonna avoid it, like because I'd seen the trailer and I was like, nah. And then I read a lot of reviews, and it was getting slated pretty much. And I thought, nah. But there was nothing else on, and I really did kind of fancy just going to watch something.
Get out of the house.
And from somebody who sat through The Grudge and Brahms 2, or sorry, Brahms The Boy 2 this year, I thought, why not make it a trio of potentially bad horror films? But it's just a really weird film. It's definitely not a horror film, like in any sense of the word. There's nothing in it where you go, this is like a horror trope, or this is a horror idea that they've kind of. It's just a really weird, like shit Black Mirror almost.
Okay, yeah.
And I say shit, but there's some twists, and the plot is pretty much like, what is this trying to prove? What's the point of this?
I haven't seen it. I'm gonna guess it's all Michael Rooker's fault. Like he's the big bad.
No, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. However, I will say no.
Oh.
That's not true.
Is it Michael? Is it Michael Pena? Is it his fault?
Michael Pena's in it, and it's not his fault. But
it's
I
not
don't really know.
his fault, is it?
I don't really
is
know
it
much
someone
about
called
the original.
Michael?
Is it someone's
Jackson?
fault?
I don't want to ruin it, but I will say it's not entirely unwatchable.
Oh,
Like,
interesting. Well, I'm excited.
I didn't find myself looking at my watch like with The Boy, even though it was
Yeah.
like 80 minutes long. I was looking at my watch and thinking, when is this over?
Yeah.
But but it's not unwatchable. I definitely watched it, but it's not a horror film. Like the fact that it's
Okay.
being marketed as a horror film, and obviously one thing we did discuss last week, and I noticed it in the theater, is that when it comes up, comes up as Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. Like a lot of people aren't going to know what that means.
Jason Blum's Fantasy Island. It's his
A
fault.
lot of people aren't going to know what that means, right?
I don't
Are
know. I think they're banking on it being Blumhouse, the Blumhouse name.
Yeah, maybe, but I think like the Blumhouse thing is like, obviously we get some absolutely mega hitters from the Blumhouse stuff, but again, for other stuff, like I don't know what the Blumhouse thing means.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like,
I
it's not
guess.
like I think, it's definitely going to be good.
I guess for the cost of a bit of typing on the poster, they thought if it gets another few people through the door.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll tell you one thing. I've given to me a lot recently, and I keep seeing the trailer, and I wasn't that keen. Well, I liked the first one, but I wasn't over the moon with it. But I'm really quite excited about Quiet Place 2. I don't know why. It's just really hitting my intrigue buttons.
No, I'm surprised how quickly it's like pretty much on us, right? It's out any time now.
Next week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go and see it. I was happy enough with The Quiet Place. It was a good film. There were some very tense moments, but
very quiet moments. I noticed.
Yeah, just live by the waterfall.
I feel like I've seen the trailer too many times now.
Oh yeah.
Even when it comes out in the cinema, I'm really trying not to pay attention. But I reckon I've seen it a good 20 times now, and it's kind of pissing me off.
Yeah,
I'll watch it.
I'll just go into the cinema 20 minutes late. Just even if you miss the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I always do that.
Yeah.
I always do that.
Does the cinema say now for your favourite part of the evening? The trailers. I think fuck off. I hate them now.
Don't assume what I like. The cinema.
Yeah.
One thing before we move on, I did see VFW, the Joe Bagos film. Your best mate Ben. Joe Bagos. Yeah.
Me and Joe like that.
I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much as I thought I was going to. So it's basically a song on Precinct 13, but it's like a group of war veterans in a war veteran bar, and then this woman who stole some drugs hides in there, and all these sort of drugged out wackos are trying to get in there, and they decide that they're going to relive their glory days, find their pride by protecting this girl.
Drugged out wackos, millennials, all these bloody millennials.
Pretty much, yeah. And it starts off quite promising because there's like a nice dynamic between Stephen Lang and some of the Fred Williamson and some of the cool guys who got in there. Michael Cove as well from Karate Kid. But it's at some point I realised this is just 90% style and there's no substance at all. It's just like it's all gore, all. I mean, if you're watching a movie for that reason, it's kind of perfect. But I wanted to know a little bit more about the characters. I wanted to go to another location at some point. I needed something else to happen, but nothing really happens.
Do you think it was pretty dark as well? Like, there's a lot of time I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
But yeah, maybe it's because I watched it off the back of his other film, so maybe that was why it kind of, for me, it's so much better than that, and that's probably why I liked it as much as I did.
It was good for gore gags and all that kind of stuff, and it'd be good for like watching with your mates in the middle of the night and watching people's heads get popped and stuff. But I don't know, it just felt like there should be more to this. It can't just be style. You can't just rip off John Carpenter's style without having the extra bits. I don't know.
True.
I don't know. Just you're missing something. But there we go. Invisible Man.
Anything else?
That was the main event. Yeah, I saw Brahms. You already talked about that. But apart from that, just the Invisible Man. Look at Ben's face. I've reminded him.
How did you feel about Brahms?
He could have had a nice life. He just chill out a little bit. Fuck's sake,
yeah, just chill out. God's sake,
let everyone just chill out. Like, you, husband, don't accuse your wife of flipping the table. Like, yeah, and like you, little boy, just talk, you idiot. Like, nothing happened to you. Your mum got bashed on the head. Yeah, you were alright. Nothing happened to you. And Brahms, you're a doll. You don't need a plate of food.
Yeah,
just say, make sure I've always like.
If everybody was more reasonable.
If everyone would just chill out, then they could have like if Brahms had changed the rules and said Brahms must always have access to Wi-Fi or something like that, like that'd have been fine. But no, he can't chill out, and he was made of meat at the end, which was odd. But apart from that
was weird.
Apart from that, made of scabs. But apart from that, the Invisible Man is what we saw.
The Invisible Man.
Okay, you got some info, Ben.
Invisible Man is a 2020 science fiction horror film written and directed by Leigh Whannell. A contemporary adaptation of the novel.
I pronounced that Whannell, but I may be wrong.
Whannell.
You said
Whannell.
Flannel.
Leigh Whannell. Leigh Whannell. He's a wet flannel. Contemporary adaptation of the novel of the same name by Hugh Wells. And a reboot of the Invisible Man series of the 1930s follows a woman who, after the apparent suicide of her abusive and wealthy boyfriend, believes she is being stalked by him. But he ain't even there. Yeah.
Or is he?
Yeah. Letterboxd 3.7, Rotten Tomatoes, critics saying 91, audience saying 88. It's
to this stuff. Just quick. So apparently the budget was $7 million.
Yeah.
That sounds ridiculously low.
You know how much it's made so far? Because it must be doing gangbusters versus that.
98.3 here on Wikipedia it says. So I mean that might be different.
That is.
Yeah.
I know horror usually gets a return, but that's great.
It's kind of cool to see Leigh Whannell getting some. I don't know, getting some big praise.
Leigh Whannell, Luke, come on.
Because people always talk about James Wan in their partnership, but Leigh Whannell's been there the entire way through, and he was even in Saw, like he's one of the guys in the room. And he wrote it as well. I feel like he's a really talented guy, and it's good to see him getting some kudos.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, and it's well deserved as well. Like there's something to be said of taking limited resources, and I know $7 million is a lot of money in reality, but for making a film, and to turn out something that looks as good as I think this is, I think it's a very sensible use. And actually, okay, I don't recognise many of the others apart from the lead from many other things, but no one you haven't. I don't think you've scrimped on having poor actors or people who aren't professional. Certainly, I think it's a great return on it, and shows you can make things with decent work on budget.
So the Invisible Man is Oliver Jackson-Cohen, who I think is in Haunted of Hill House.
Yeah,
he's English. He's the drugs brother, isn't he?
From Westminster. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recognise the cop from much, but he was pretty awesome. I thought he was a good.
I mean,
he was bloody big beefcake, wasn't he?
No disrespect to anyone else's dad, but does anyone else wish he was their dad? Because he's a very good, what a handsome and responsible dad, and he's a fun dad.
Yeah, the problem when you see characters like that is I'm instantly thinking, oh, he's going to be dead. He's too good a person.
I thought they were kind of making out that he was going to be this strong force that was going to maybe protect Cecilia. And but what's going to happen is he's just going to get killed at the first instance of it.
Yeah.
his daughter played by Storm Reid as well, who's been in loads of stuff. Wrinkle in Time. She's in the new Suicide Squad.
Cool.
I think she was in 12 Years a Slave as well.
She was good.
So yeah, I think she was good. And all the
his
supporting cast good as well.
Wife has died rather than leaving, because who'd have left him? It wouldn't have not worked out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then everyone, like even the antagonist brother, was like just sleazy enough.
He was perfect.
Reminded me
he
a
was
bit
really good.
he reminded me a bit of Lily Allen's brother. What's his name? Alfie Allen. Yeah. When he was in Game of Thrones, and he was a bit of a sleazeball to start with as well, before he got his nads chopped off.
Oh, is he Lily Allen's brother?
Yeah.
No. I'm saying he reminded me of Alfie Allen. Not saying he is Lily Allen's brother. This guy in this film.
Okay, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
I saw what you did there, and I cut it off at the source.
The penis. But this guy is playing the brother. I felt played that note perfectly. Like I could not tell what side he was on.
Yeah,
for most of it. Yeah,
he was great.
So I mean, yes, horror, but also like one of the most tightly wound, tense thrillers that I've seen in a long time.
Within seconds,
even from that opening sequence.
Yeah.
I was squirming in my chair at so many moments, and I'm sure we'll come to them. But there were so many moments that literally I was holding my breath watching this movie.
Yeah.
So atmospheric, so well delivered, and as the name said, it's fuck all there. There's nothing happening. You're looking at empty space.
Yeah. It's really smart.
You find yourself in the place of the main character, where you're looking at all the little corners and nooks and crannies and the floor and the thing. You're looking for a sign of something, and you're really like drawn in by that.
I was going to say, so most times watching this, like this invisible guy is sort of knocking around, hiding behind her and stuff. I'm sure you could hear him. Like I'm sure, like a little trump every now and again, or like some sort of breathing,
a bit of guitar,
heavy breathing, yeah.
Or like just on the floorboards as he's walking, you'd hear him.
I'd stub my toe or something.
Yeah. Also, if you were Elisabeth Moss, in Simpsons where Bart's like, I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And if you get hit, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
I'd be doing that constantly.
You have to pretend that your entire life is in a primary school PE lesson where you're trying to make sure you've got space by just make sure you can swing your arms around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But, I mean, I saw Elisabeth Moss recently in a film called Her Smell, and I don't know if you've seen that film advertised. Just laughing at that. And she was like, I hated her in that. Like, really hated her. Like, oh, fucking hell, I hate her. And then I saw her in something else, and I thought, oh, God, I'm kind of sick of her. But in this film, I feel completely differently about this character. So it obviously shows what a great actress she is.
Yeah. Elisabeth Moss can play someone who basically is having the worst time and is totally fucked up.
She loves a bit of Scientology, right?
She is a Scientologist, apparently.
Yeah. So, also has her life ruled by an invisible force that's probably trying to kill her.
Yeah. So the movie opens.
Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, because he might be a bit angry about the dark universe as well. Who knows? Of
course, because he kissed that woman to death in The Mummy, and then it got cancelled, right?
Wait, did he become a superhero at the end of the last one?
Well, he kissed that woman to death. Then is he the Mummy? He's the mummy now.
He's the daddy.
Kissing the mummy to death. The daddy.
Yeah.
I'm the daddy now.
Okay, film opens right in the get-go in the middle of the night. Elisabeth Moss is like sleeping on this bed, but it's like a really lovely house. I mean, you should see the tog count on those sheets look off the chain. And there's a guy sleeping. We don't really see him, but her alarm wakes her up. No, it doesn't. She wakes up naturally. She has a bit of sleep, I think. She gets up. She's sneaking around the house. She's obviously got this crazy plan to escape without him noticing her. She's like drugged him with some
drugs.
I think they are. Yeah. And there's a
diazepam, right?
Yeah.
She's giving him some. Yeah.
There's a drowsy pan. There's also a dog knocking around. You think he's going to die at some point. Poor little dog.
There are almost too many steps to her plan in order to escape. Like, she's got so many things to do. She's got to get dressed, get her bag together, go down, turn the cameras off, There's just
yeah,
so many steps.
but
I'm like, I understand she's drugged him, but
also I think it kind of just points out how much he has in control of even the house. Like, he's got so many things in place that he's we know from the get-go this guy is a bit of a control freak. She also like runs through his garage and he's got like an invisible man suit on the
a bit of a control freak.
Yeah,
He's a bit of a control freak, you know. He's fine.
he's got like a bat cave of gadgets
fancy
and
cars.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's
he's like
an
an
optics millionaire, right?
Yeah.
So he's like an optics scientist. He's got like loads of stuff. He's pretty much got a bat cave.
Optician, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
The optician. Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Good supervillain. Yes, and obviously there's a bit in here where she like kicks a dog ball, which is like a absolutely terrifying
Everyone's
moment.
done
Like
it.
the first.
We've all done it in the night.
Oh, and the water's in
Cold
there and it
water
gets
on
on
your
your
feet.
socks.
But
It'd be
let's
more
talk-
realistic if you stood in a dog Todd, like in the middle of the night, slipped over.
A dog Todd. Let's talk about jump scares. Obviously, we talked about jump scares with the boy. There are some good jump scares in this. But again, this is how I like the jump scares. Earned, like a legitimate jump scare from something that makes a noise on the screen that isn't a soundtrack.
Yeah,
That was good, man. Like, that really got me. That fucked me up.
yeah.
Mention her sister's car, right? When she's first getting in there, he just comes out of nowhere and he's at the window. He gets better from drugs. Hearing that dog bowl be kicked, it's the cure.
Yeah. So he's a wrong un. We know that pretty much from the get-go. Although there is some conversations later, but I guess we don't really ever get told explicitly that he was like violent to her. We kind of understand that he was controlling and that he did this, and this. But it's kind of like touched upon that maybe he was violent towards her, but she doesn't quite go into detail.
Yeah, I think it's that there's a conversation because I think there's the emotional abuse that is evident from how she is, and I think they talk the scene at the kitchen table where they talk about physical and possibly sexual abuse, but they don't explicitly go into that, which then you can read from the the denials that he makes later on as well, like when you're questioning what her mental state is.
I kind of got the feeling that because he was so controlling and emotionally controlling, that there were other levels of abuse going on that perhaps just came alongside that. The way he treated her, that she obviously felt like she had to go along with certain things just to alleviate him, which obviously was abusive in its own right. But yeah, so it's good because what I quite liked about it is that we don't see their relationship essentially before this all happens. We don't get we don't get half an hour of build up with their characters being established and their relationship being established. We're kind of just thrown in at the deep end of when it's kind of ending, but it's still really effective.
Yeah.
I still hate him.
You immediately believe it. Yeah, I disliked him before I'd only ever seen him in silhouette, and I already like, this guy is no good.
Yeah.
Wish you were invisible, mate, because don't want to see you.
Yeah.
Well, I will be invisible then, all right, for the rest of the film.
All right then.
Yeah. So she gets away in the sister's car. What's his name? Punches his hand through. He gets the tablets, and his hand's all bleeding, so he bleeds all over the pot of diazepam. And then we cut to 3 weeks later, I think. She's gotten away from what's his face, and she's staying with
their friend
James and his daughter Sydney. But like, she's still terrified. She can't leave the house. She's agoraphobic now. She's not speaking to anyone. She's like a shell of her former self. I
She's
think.
really hiding out, and I think this feeds into the emotional abuse, right? Because he's always said to her, like, "Oh, you'll never leave me." So they've obviously had discussions where she's tried to leave him the past, and it's very efficiently done because they don't have to give examples of that. And like Ben says, they don't need to show that she tried to leave several times. We get plenty of information to indicate, like, we know that, like, this isn't someone who's had a bad relationship and their first resort was to go for like a midnight flit and escape. It was there's probably been conversations where she's tried to leave and break up with him naturally, and he obviously, because of his behavior, won't let that happen. So she's been driven to this, and I think it's very efficiently told.
It feels like very real as well. Like it feels like such a genuine telling of like a relationship like this. it doesn't feel like anything's kind of everything's kind of over exaggerated or sensationalized in order to make it more of a, it doesn't feel very Hollywood. It feels very real, which I think was why I was completely all in from the get-go.
Yeah.
You're right. She doesn't want to leave the house, and I think they have an opening bit where she's going to go out to the post box, and she gets out to the mailbox, but then someone who is not an invisible man, a jogger, but still someone who looks sinister because he's got a hood up, comes like literally.
And he's jogging really loudly, isn't he?
Yeah, charging up and in a pretty direct line towards her. Sometimes I'll go for a jog. I'll go through a neighbourhood. I sometimes do when I see someone. Give him a little wave. All right.
Give him a little wave, all right.
Give him a little wave, hello. As I go past. I certainly don't
women also scream at you.
Certainly don't put my hood up and charge at them like that man from Get Out. Make a beeline straight for him. Yeah, in my Doc Martens, thud in.
That's what I do. Adds a lot of fun to the run. So
she's doing all right. So she seems to be doing all right, like slowly getting there. Making slight progress with stuff. But then her sister turns up, and she's got news. She's got a letter from Adrian, hasn't she? Well, not from Adrian, but from Adrian's estate.
From the brother, because she comes in at first. She's quite angry that her sister has come because she's very worried that by her sister coming to visit, I think James's house has been seen as like a safe haven because he doesn't know where it is. He can't follow her there, and he's not going to be able to find her, which is why she's chosen not to stay with her sister. But her sister turning up at the door means that the guy might be able to work out or follow that she's there. But she kind of interrupts her and says, no, he isn't going to find you because he's only gone and done himself in. He's dead.
Yeah, where is the city? Is it San Francisco?
It's set in San Francisco, but it's filmed in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Which apparently it's like cows and horses. That you have to paint horses like cows. If you want to film San Francisco, you got to film in Sydney.
Yeah,
that's how it comes out.
So so she'd obviously a bit disbelieving. Then she shows that like a story on her phone, like a news story saying he's killed himself. And basically he's left her $5 million in his will, and his brother Tom is kind of organizing the exchange of these funds and stuff. So she has to go to a meeting where he is there to. And already we're getting bad vibes from Tom. He seems a bit like, bit of a sleazy.
He seems a bit of a sleazy. He's like a bit like weedy Michael Shannon, maybe if Michael Shannon wasn't so tough.
What do you mean?
A bit of a sinister edge, but
that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah.
So basically, like the money comes out. She get like $100,000 every month or something.
He's going to pay loads of money every month, and then at first they're like, "Oh, you have to listen to this letter," and he's written like a gaslighting letter, hasn't he? Like, even though you was real nasty to me, he's like, "No, I ain't gonna hear it." Like,
just a real fucking douche.
It gives him some conditions, and maybe this is the only part where having like sometimes you write stories, and that's the only time where I've really picked up of the whole film. Is this like a writing cue here, because there's a couple of elements that he brings up as conditions, like, now as long as you don't commit any crimes then you'll get this money every month. I was like,
yeah.
Why would you mention that?
They start to they really twist it in when she decides to pay for the little girl's university tuition, however it works. But the fact that she's offering to pay for this adds so much more stakes to the fact that when the shit does hit the fan, and we know it will, like, it's just going to be so much more painful for her.
Yeah.
It's Wait, so where do we go from here? So now
we go back and they celebrate.
Yeah, okay.
We celebrate, and then I guess this is where things first start to get, and it moves at quite a pace, right? So this happens all very quickly. So they have a little bit of a celebration, and they celebrate, and they have some champagne to show that James has got a new ladder, and the daughter is going to university. Some would say not a very fair distribution of presents.
Yeah. Where's mine? Come on.
New ladder. You could have at least gone, and I've hired professional painters to do your no.
yeah.
No, you've just got a new ladder, so you can still do the painting yourself, James. But it begins literally the next morning, right? Because we go down to the next morning. James is going off. They're coming down at the end of their celebration, and then as they go to, I think she goes to like steps away from the hob a bit. Someone whacks the gas right up, and a knife gets snatched away. You see the knife just disappear out of the block, right? And then again,
interesting. Okay.
I don't know,
yeah.
I don't know if I noticed the knife.
The knife gets snatched away and then the gas turns up.
Yeah.
Maybe
Unless I've missed that out and the knife gets swiped later on, but I swear I saw a knife go.
Yeah. There was I don't know if it was around here, but it's some point in the film. There's like some younger girls sat near me, and I could hear them like getting spooked out and stuff. And one of them was like, "Oh, I didn't know ghosts could pick stuff up." And I was just like,
Come on now. The clue is in the title.
"Yeah,
It's not a ghost, man.
yeah."
Maybe that's the twist they're expecting. Ha ha! I'm invisible.
It wasn't even a
Because
ghost. That's all this.
Well, they take what you see. They knew he's dead. They've seen the news.
Yeah.
So innocent.
They've
yeah.
gone. Well, it's a BBC story. How would they fake that? He's obviously dead.
I think there's a few pepperings of spooky moments in there. So there's like when they're sleeping, the quilt gets dragged away. I think there's some camera flashing as well.
Yeah, he's taken some pictures of them in bed.
So, has this invisible man suit got pockets, like with the phone and stuff?
It must
It's
have,
got
right?
an invisible phone case.
He's got an invisible phone case.
Yeah, made of the same material. Yeah, invisible.
But you
phone
can't
case.
see it. That's the only thing. You can't see it. So you're like,
I mean, he's like made of cameras, isn't he?
Yeah,
So maybe he's just.
Hang on a second. Even if he does have a phone not in a case, how's he using a touchscreen with gloves on?
We can get those touchscreen gloves.
Don't also go invisible, Luke. Come on.
He's
if he can
an
work out
optic
that.
scientist.
Yeah.
If he can work that out, he's had 2 weeks. She's been gone for 2 weeks. He has been vigorously.
Did you not see
putting all
the
this stuff
single
together.
index finger naked
Yeah.
flying around?
Somebody was fall down with his penis.
Just the phone button.
No. Okay.
But you're right. There are other slightly spooky things happening. They have a moment where they're in the house, and it's been, I don't know about you guys, it's been a couple of weeks I've seen this, so I probably don't have the handle of the exact order of this anymore, but it starts with these small things, right? So she gets a bit spooked in the night where she wakes up and there's the weird, like, the lump in the covers, and then she tries to pull the...
Oh yeah. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Like
really well
feet
done. I
standing
looked like
on it.
someone stood on them as well.
And
Yeah.
then started to walk towards her.
Yeah, that was terrifying. And
There's
I think
the extra breath behind her head.
that was the bit that really got me. I think that
Did
might
my
happen
ear just
first.
breathe? Yeah.
That was good.
The
'Cause I was
door
like,
swings open a bit.
initially I was like, what am I looking for? And then when that happened, it's like, oh yeah, that's good.
But
And obviously this is
I
the
think
first.
you could hear him. Like you'd have to be fucking ninja trained to be up like walking on rice paper since you're a baby to be able to be that quiet.
Maybe
like-
yes. Maybe it was a long game for him. He is a
Unless
psychopath. after
his suit somehow, it's
Dampen
like
sound.
noise cancelling suit, like the way noise.
all. I reckon he's got like slipper socks. On,
He's
on
got
his feet.
slippers. Why didn't I think about that?
Some totes.
Just wearing some Uggs.
But this is also good because it's the first time we get to see like something that I thought was really effective in this film, which was like everyone around her just doubting her.
Yeah.
That is so frustrating in films because obviously you just want to go. Are you
It'd be
done, you stupid
so
idiot?
funny
Just get
if he did Trump and then everyone looked at her.
yeah. Well, yeah.
If that was his thing that he was, if that was his thing trying to drive everyone away, he's just there eating beans the whole time he's not at that house, and then goes round. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, so you've got to move out. You're making my house stink of farts.
You've got to move out. You've got to move out because my eyes are watering.
I could chew it.
I
could
Like,
chew it.
I can't work as a policeman. Everyone in the office says my uniform stinks of farts. I can't go in like this anymore. You're gonna have
I'm
to.
nervous. I'm
You're
just
gonna have to.
nervous.
It's not me.
Yeah, that's not me. Is it dog? Is it? I ain't got a dog. So,
Yeah.
Oh, who did that? The Invisible Man, was it? Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
the first sign I think it's like, oh, he's definitely there, is when she goes for a job interview, and her portfolio stuff is missing or whatever. It's like, she's like, I knew it was there, it's gone. But then she faints, and then there's the diazepam somewhere.
Yeah, she faints because she faints and goes to hospital, and then as she gets home, the diazepam bottle is on the sink, and it's the one that's got his bloody fingerprint on it, and that's when she knows. Basically, it's not just some paranoia. It's not the remnants of the trauma that she has. She knows that this is because, and again, she sort of touches on the fact that he had this conversation with her that said, he was very specific about it. Obviously, in some of their previous breakups, said, "I'm going to leave you," and it's like, if you leave me, I'm going to make myself invisible, and I'm gonna fuck you over, and you'll know it's me because I'll leave a sign.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what he says. He just basically says like, I'll still find you, I'll make your life a misery, or some shit like that.
Yeah, and he basically says that I'll stand right next to you, and you won't be able to see me. Never goes quite as far as to say that he's going to be invisible, but he says that he said I'll be right there. You'll never know I'm there until. You never know I'm there.
Does this have something to do with that invisible suit you've been working on for the past 10 years? No.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Like, surely she would, because she goes down there. She must have been down there before. She must get some sort of inkling that he's got that, or he's got something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just that he never talks
access
about
to his lab.
Never just talks about work ever. Like, what do you do? You as an optics professional. Oh, don't worry about it, because you'd be able to hear me, wouldn't you? Not as everyone did. Not as if I got any socks, slippers.
You don't hear me clobbing about down there, clod hopping. So we mentioned the job interview. Have we done that?
Yeah. So she collapses, and then that's with, and this is the point as well where she sees, and again, maybe you spot that there's going to be something more to that, because she's on the phone to the doctor saying, "Yeah, mate, you fainted because of all that diazepam you had. That's why you fainted, silly idiot. Don't eat all those drugs." And then the doctor's saying, "Oh, and while I'm here, something else."
Oh yeah.
And she kind of just goes,
So
something else very important. Don't move the phone away from your face. What?
Mostly though, when a doctor tells you something, they usually check back to make sure you've understood what they've said. This doctor obviously doesn't do that, because we don't come back to it until sometime quite later, just because he puts the phone away from me.
Maybe the doctor would try and ring again. Just to make sure. Like, I didn't tell her that really important thing, so maybe I should just try and ring again. Maybe just to see if she's all right.
Or send it through in writing afterwards, so she's got a record. Maybe arrange a follow up with her.
Maybe put it in invisible ink.
Yeah, maybe she did. But yeah, that's the other piece there, really, because she's obviously traumatized by it, so she doesn't listen to whatever the doctor's got to say next. We'll see what that comes up as later, and then I guess this is where things start to unravel, because already she's not going to get this job because of it, and she's incredibly upset. And is this where we move into where she has the scene with the daughter, or is that?
Well,
or am I missing it in the middle?
Well, she goes to see the brother lawyer again with the bottle, and she's like convinced. And
tell him to stop it.
James is there, and everyone's there. And you can't see her, and like don't know why they're there, but she's like, he's definitely there. He's alive. He's doing this to me. And then Tom brings out this whole thing about how he hates his brother, and it's really convincing. Like, he says, "I understand why you hate him, because I hate him as well. He was the most controlling person in the world. Wouldn't share his Xbox controller. What a
son of a bitch!
He's almost crying, isn't he? Like he's getting a bit choked up. He's crying. He's like, he was basically
he once gave me a wet willy, so wet.
It's almost like that's obviously still going on. Like, if that is true, which I can easily believe that, it's still going on.
You're a 4-year-old man,
enough.
Mate.
Yeah. It was there, and it's like always when we play as Tails, it's not really a 2-player game.
Yeah.
The camera's focused on him. I'm always just off. Like, it's like, all right, Tom, I get it. I think we're on side with you, and I genuinely changed my say, okay, maybe.
Yeah. You're all right, Tom. You're all right.
You're all right. We've all been there, mate.
And then there's a bit of an annoying bit where she goes to her sister, and her sister's like pissed off at her, so she received an email
That was how it happens, isn't it?
This is a bit annoying because, like, if that kind of thing really did happen, then you'd really try and sort it, wouldn't you? You wouldn't just walk away going, all right, okay, well, I didn't send an email. You'd be like, let me see the email. Let me see the email. Show me what the hell's going on. I really didn't send that. Something dodgy's going on. But she kind of just accepts it and leaves, checks her sent, and goes, oh, that's weird.
Even if your sister doesn't believe in Invisible Man, like, she would surely believe that you could have had your email hacked by a tech genius or by someone else, even by the brother who you know's alive. You could just say, I'm really sorry, mate. I didn't send you these things that said you were really... And also, come on. Maybe it hurt so much because it was a little bit true. Like, maybe your sister is a bit controlling, but also, like, she only had a bit of a go at her and said, oh, I think she's really suffocating. You think your sister, who had just known you've come out of an incredibly violent and stressful relationship, would probably be like, even if you did say that, I probably wouldn't cut you off immediately.
Yeah, cuts her off forever, basically says, I never want to see you again. So it's a little bit OTT, and I guess immediately we think there, oh, Jesus, you bitch.
She goes back to the house, cries off a good one on the middle of the floor. Which, by the way, I've got to say, like when people are depressed and stuff, they just kind of slump to the floor, and that's where they sort of cry and stuff. I don't really see that in films very often. I thought it was quite a nice little astute little observation that people do just lie on the floor when they're depressed. It's what they do.
As I said, I was really impressed by like loads of stuff like that, loads of mental health stuff, depression stuff, abusive relationship stuff. It all felt like real. It all felt like that level of control someone's got over you, that you feel completely helpless. Like, that was all spot on. Like, as I said, I was really, really invested in it because that stuff seemed real.
But here's where it starts
Elisabeth
to get
Moss
really
plays
fun.
it very well, right?
She does.
This is where things again take such a massive turn, because James's daughter comes in and it's all very positive. Like, hey, let's send my dad out for the day. We'll have a bit of a girls' night, and there's like a little bit of a glimmer of like, oh, this is nice. She'll help her get back on track. And then the fucking Invisible Man wallops her. You son of a...
There are a few moments in this film. This was one of them where I went, fucking hell, Jesus Christ, what on earth's going on? So yeah, she's obviously like, Sydney is completely like, what the fuck is going on? Cecilia's a nutcase. Her dad comes in, just like, what the fuck are you doing? And leaves the house, basically, leaving Cecilia alone. And it's almost like
she leaves a right mess.
Yeah, and he's
for James to come back
again,
to.
shows he's a good dad. He's like, hey, got to get my daughter to safety right now, and it's like, you fall into the Invisible Man's trap, James, but it's a good dad.
The Invisible Man is so good at isolating her. Like, no matter what, as soon as like her support network sort of starts coming together, he just manages to like isolate her completely. It's pretty nuts, actually, but and terrifying.
So now she's left alone in the house with the Invisible Man. I don't know if he attacks her right away.
No, because at first she really gets at him first. First she scatters all the coffee grounds around so she could see his footprints.
Yeah.
And then starts goading him, because she's convinced at this point that he's here and invisible.
This is the point where I'd just be like holding like knives and like just punching randomly at the air. Like, I just wouldn't stop.
Just go, I'd go like this. I'd go, oh, maybe there's not an Invisible Man after all, and then start walking and go.
Start doing really unpredictable things, like lock all the doors apart from the one you're standing by, set the house on fire, like boil the kettle, and then just start dashing the water around.
Walking forwards, I put golf shoes on, and I just suddenly just like kicking out, walk forwards, and then jump backwards all of a sudden,
completely at random.
Whoa.
Go the garage and get a strimmer, then just run around the house into all the tight corners.
She does kind of. So she phones whatever his number is, and she hears it ringing somewhere in the house.
How's he still got a phone contract?
Maybe it's pay as you go.
Yeah. She finds it's in the attic. She uses the nice new ladders to get up there. She finds that knife as well that I think you took earlier.
The knife, which is in a convenient like plastic bag, right, along with the.
That makes sense now, because she was using it to chop stuff up, so her fingerprints are on it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I guess if he's got the suit on, then his handprints are invisible, right? So he's not going to leave any fingerprints or anything.
Maybe. I have no idea how it works.
But yeah, they've got all the things, all the photos of her asleep in the phone. Also, this is the point where we know that Invisible Man is a psychopath because he's set a custom voicemail, and rather than just having the default one. Lunatic.
What does a custom voicemail say?
Well, I could just go, all right, it's me, Adrian.
Can't hear you, I'm invisible right now.
Alright, it's the invisible... it's the Invisible Man.
Yeah, it's Adrian Invisible Man here. I am not available to
Just
take you...
accidentally saying invisible between every sentence. I am.
So then we get another really like effective scare now, which was amazing. I thought this was like really well done.
We should turn him into a golf ball. That bit.
Yeah. She's
All the
creeping
little
up.
dimples on his face.
Yeah, you're right. She's creeping
Golf ball.
up the top of the
Like a game show, you've been golf balled.
And then she just whacks him with a golf club. That's what you're made for, isn't it?
That'd almost harken back to the original novel, because doesn't the Invisible Man get killed by a man whacking him with a spade?
I've never seen it.
In the original book, I think he's running down the street and then a navvy with a spade
Navvy
thwacks him and does him in that way. Tells him not to be invisible anymore.
Stop it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that would be how she could have painted him white permanently, and then golfers would have seen him and instinctively have bashed him.
Yeah.
Instinctively.
There's like a few Easter eggs to other Invisible Man films. There's a guy full of bandages, I think in hospital earlier.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That
was really good. I enjoyed that.
Earlier when she saw something in the room and it turned out to be like a hat and a coat. It's like the old Invisible Man hat and coat thing that he wears. There's a few little nods. I don't know if the golf ball is actually one, but it's a bit of a
he's not really good like golfers. But
she's just about to like go down climb back down the ladder onto the thing, and she just sees a tin of paint and grabs it, slings it at the opening of the like attic thing, and he's right there, literally right there. Wait.
There's like a screamy sound of like a proper stingy bit. It's good.
This for me is the only downside for James as a, he's done a perfect job so far, but he hasn't put the lids back on those paint cans very well, has he? That's going to spoil. You've really got to push them. You've got to push them back down really firmly, so you need a screwdriver to get them off. Yeah.
You know how when I realised I'm amazed at Elisabeth Moss is the way she got out of that attic without the ladders. Like she just like professionally sort of just.
I would have broken my ankle.
I would have fallen out face first.
Oh no! Landed face.
Karen was watching the film with me, and she whispered and said, "Just stay up there. You've got a phone. All the evidence is left up there that he's alive and the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And he can't get back up unless he puts the ladder up, so you know he was coming. You can just stab at the.
I think she honestly just wants to fuck him up, right?
Yeah.
She wants to fuck him up. She's pretty angry.
Yeah. That is a good point.
Stab
Why
at
did
the
she
hole. Keep stabbing at the hole until the police come. Is anybody up?
Yeah. So now there's a proper scrap.
It's not my fault.
Like now you can realise how difficult it is to fight an Invisible Man. Because he's like chucking her around, grabbing her foot, punching her in the face. It looks difficult.
How did he wash all that paint off so well?
Yeah, in the sink. It must be like something to do with the suit. It must be like very slippery.
Anti-paint.
Light and light slips right off of it. Who knows how it works? Yeah.
And also maybe it's not. Again, maybe it's because James hadn't closed the paint lids properly. It's gone off.
It's got to be have some sort of properties that make it so it doesn't catch dirt or dust or something as well. So maybe it is super slinky.
It's got little wipers on every single camera. It's got little windscreen wipers.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what happens there. So they have a massive scrap around this house now.
You have a huge rumble. You're right, and then she's again. There's some great effects work here. I know that it's done partially with green screen stuff and partially with just guys with strings and everything, right? But it's smashing plates over an invisible force that you're fighting.
Yeah, breaking.
It's really well done.
By the time James gets home and he sees coffee all over the floor, paint and everywhere, he's got to be thinking, "Yeah, she's lost her mind. This is
she's lost her. It was an Invisible Man." Yeah.
Yeah.
She runs out, gets into an Uber, I think.
Gets an Uber, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I'll give you 5 stars if you take me to San Francisco, or somewhere like that. She goes back to the original house. I don't understand how he got back there so quick. Because he goes back to the house as well.
He must have had a car.
He does get back there, but
he's got an invisible car. Dangerous.
That is very dangerous. Yeah.
We'll crash into you all the time. I think I'm going to go out there and say an invisible car would be worse than having a regular car.
He didn't think it through.
I've got an invisible car. I'll be able to do the speed limit.
Something just honked at me.
Yeah, just constantly being smashed.
Just an invisible dodgem. Yeah.
I didn't think this through.
She gets back to the house. It's still there. The dog's still there.
Yeah. No one's got any duty of care around here. Like, no one's looking after that dog.
It's all very clean.
That obviously makes sense. Like, that obviously can, like, she must know he's been living there then if the dog's still there and alive.
Yeah.
Because there's unless there's a cleaner or someone, I don't know.
There's
nothing to be cleaned.
She goes into the bat cave, and she finds the invisible suit.
Yeah. And because she knows all his passwords, she just guesses it. Because for a genius, he's very predictable. He's not got very good passwords.
We met and everything like that. I'm like, oh, even if he loved you, that wouldn't be his password. He's just a controlling freak.
Yeah, you'd think he'd like set something much harder to get. With capital letters, small letters, and symbols.
He's the kind of guy who would have a very secure password. He'd have like one pass or whatever on his phone with all the different passwords. No way is he having something standard.
Yeah, or like you can invent a suit that goes invisible, and he hasn't got like a biometrics thing to get his his most precious, priceless invention.
Yeah.
It's secured now.
Well, I think it's rubbish probably getting there all the time and just see nothing there, and they're like, oh, okay, let's leave.
The perfect crime.
I thought like there was no way he was that stupid. I kind of thought it was going to lead to it being like a double bluff.
And that being like a prison.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's like a suit of cameras. I actually really like the effects, like all the irises of the cameras sort of shutting down in turn, sort of thing. It's cool. She folds it up because it wasn't folded up very nicely, and hides it in the. It's the same place she hid like her get out bag.
Yeah, I missed. I was a couple of minutes late, so I missed the very bit. But Karen explained that she had a hiding place in the house, right? And she stashed the invisible suit in there.
Yeah. He turns up. We don't actually know who it is, really. Well, I have no idea who it is. But he turns up. The Invisible Man. He's walking the wardrobe. He must have seen her. I guess
he must have known she was in the wardrobe. But
she was doing something in there.
We can only assume that he doesn't know he has a suit, though, because, of course, much like the burglars who would look and see there was nothing there, if he looked in his invisible lab and went, don't see anything in there, and be like, exactly.
It almost makes you think, how many suits does he have? Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think he had more than 2, and if one of those 2 is missing, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, well, where the fuck is it? Maybe it's in that. You'd
never find it. If you lost your invisible suit, fucking hell.
Screwed, wouldn't you?
If you took it,
absolutely screwed.
Like for all we know, the floor of it, like if he's, I mean, he seems that he's kept the house quite tidy while he's been allegedly dead, but it could just be that there are like crumpled up invisible suits all over his bedroom floor.
Yeah.
As soon as he loses one, gotta bloody make another one.
Why did I take that off?
Take a black light on that
around
house.
On his
There's invisible suits everywhere. Yeah, I like it. So she gets out, she escapes. I think he's chasing her as well. But the dog helps her, I think.
The dog is on her side, definitely. Because I guess, being a dog, he knows, even though this is the guy he lives with, he knows he's a piece of shit. So he's like, I'm going to bark at you. And then... Although, does he bark because he's invisible? And it's like, dogs don't like invisible things.
It makes me think about the times my dog just stares in the corner of the room.
I was about to say, you've got a dog, my dogs both do that. They stare at corners. Genuinely, they tend to do it whenever I'm away at work, and they will stare at corners and bark, and Karen ends up like locking herself in the bedroom with a knife in case there's an invisible man.
Yeah. She gets out. Okay, so she's got evidence now of the suit, and she goes to a restaurant to meet her sister. This is maybe the most shocking bit of the film.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was open mouthed at this bit.
Yeah. This was unbelievable. Yeah, and I think it was executed so well. Like I didn't see it coming, and even when I saw the knife, I still didn't expect. I don't know what I expected.
It just took me a second. I did not see it coming at all because it's done so. It's like the button on that perfect speech where it's like, never really addressed. Like, I wouldn't be able to resist clarifying. Before we go any further, I really didn't send you that email. All right, but then she's like, you're my sister, and I love you, and I think you're the hardest, and I think that you would work. And this is, I would kick anyone's ass, wouldn't I? And then just
like a glimmer.
a little glimmer of hope, and everything's going to be okay. And then she gets smacked in the middle of a restaurant.
Well, it's just a weird thing where like you realise she's not looking at Elisabeth Moss anymore. She's looking at something. The camera turns around, and I think we're all in that same moment of what's happening. Why is there a knife just floating around? We're all kind of feeling the same sort of thing. She gets knifed across the throat within a second. The knife gets shoved into her hand, so she's holding it. She's coming to the realization at the same time we are. It is a really great moment, like perfect cinema.
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. It's so shocking, and then the fact that she starts realizing what's happened, and then people around just start slowly realizing that something's happened. Like someone screams, people start running away, and then she gets like pinned down. It is brutal. It is like the moment where you're like, well, there's no coming back from this.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, Invisible Man did it. You're fucked.
Because even if they believed you, the precedent that would set, they'd have to let all the people out of jail. Because everyone would start saying,
"It's an Invisible Man for me as well." Yeah, Invisible.
All of them.
So anyway, she gets arrested. Anyway, she goes to hospital, mental hospital. And the James guy's there, and no one believes her at this point. They're all
she's just sorry, isn't he? He's just like, I'm really sorry I let you down because I knew you were doolally when you covered my house in coffee grounds and paint, and I should have done something. But now you're mad.
And while she's sort of being banged up in mental hospital, she gets told that she's pregnant as well.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the reveal the doctor wanted to say earlier on.
Yeah, and this is the great bit as well, because like I think you can take yourself away from the experience of the character here, and you can listen to the interviews they're having with the police and with the doctors at the mental hospital, and when you hear her talking to them, you can exactly put yourself in the position of the police and the doctors there when someone would just sound mad. And if you didn't know that invisible men were a thing, then you would be immediately because she basically says like, "Oh, I've got evidence that he's an invisible man and that he did this." Okay, what's the evidence? Just like, can't tell you because he could be here listening right now, and they're like, "Oh
God,
what a
mad, aren't
you?"
You are mad. And you know, like we could be stupid about it and say like, "Oh, you know, you'd come up with something and say, look, I know this is going to sound mad. I believe my boyfriend's invisible. Come into a really tight space with me and I'll whisper what it is. But I guess you've just seen your sister had your throat, so that you're probably not having your best day. Probably can't think of these really like detailed plans to avoid."
Yeah. I mean, it's it definitely goes there. And then when she finds out she's pregnant, I think she's passing out, and then she hears a voice say "surprise" or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need it, but it makes sense at the end of the film.
That's his catchphrase, isn't it?
Surprise. Yeah. He says it all the time.
Yeah. I guess if you're an invisible man, you can surprise people very easily. People would always be surprised, so it would become your catchphrase.
I think we needed a quick flashback of like them when they were in a relationship and him giving her a birthday cake or something. Surprise! Exactly the same time, exactly the same way. Okay, so then I struggled to watch this bit where she's in the shower with the pen.
Oh, before that, though, it's the brother comes for a little visit, doesn't he? This is when basically he shows his hand that we've turned to his side earlier and said, oh, actually, the brother hated him as well. But then he comes back and says, oh, basically, because you've committed a crime, your mate's daughter doesn't get the sponsorship money anymore. He goes, I was a quick look around, and then he goes, what you could do, though, is you could just agree to have this baby and come away and have a life with him again, because basically he needs you and wants you because you're the one person who will walk away from him. So that's why he needs you to stay in his life. And he basically says, if you sign this, we'll work out a plan. Basically,
how would they make the charges go away? I don't understand.
Well, I guess you're escape.
Yeah, they've got invisible suit, invisible car. They put her in. She's gone.
Take her down.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
got you. Because they're gonna have to like live their lives. He's fake.
Invisibly.
He's fake. She's a wanted woman. He's like fake to suicide. Can't just go out for a city break.
They can, like just in invisible suits. They'll just have to live like that from then on.
Be annoying. Imagine trying to navigate a crowd in invisible suits.
I think trying to like talk to someone without seeing them or trying to high five them. I bet they're shit at high fiving invisible couples.
Oh no!
She'd be able to run away anyway, wouldn't she? Are they gonna have a little suit for the invisible baby as well?
She could just like leave a little voice recording of her having a conversation and run away. He'll be having a conversation with the recording. She'll be miles away. Invisible.
Yeah. And then she'll say something completely different to what he's just said, and he'll be like, "Hang on a minute. What do you want for dinner? Beans on toast, or do you fancy a bit of pasta?" Yeah. So what happened was, invisible baby suit would be good there, I reckon.
Yeah. Okay. So
but she's having none of it and says, "Ha. I thought you were alright, but actually, I recognise that you're just like your brother. You're a real piece of shit, except you're the jellyfish version of him, which in many ways is worse." And then she like
jellyfish version.
Wazzes his phone on the floor.
Spine.
Yeah, and then she knocks all this stuff on the floor, and then while he's picking the stuff back up, so you haven't got to decide now whether you want to come and live with him again. I'll give you some time to think about it, and she robs his pen. Which then gets onto the bit that you didn't want to watch, Luke.
Oh, yeah. Stabs stuff in the wrist in the shower with the pen. She's like, you're not having this baby. It's just difficult to watch someone stab himself in the wrist. It just goes through me a bit.
It's tough.
But then he grabs a hand or something to try to stop her. And this is all part of a plan. She just starts murking him in the face with the...
I didn't really want to stab myself. I wanted to stab you with this pen.
Yeah. But it's like,
and she stabs him like over and over again in the suit. The suit's like malfunctioning, like different. This was really cool. Like different glitchy parts of him and different bits, and then it goes full action movie, right?
I thought it was great. It's the same. They use a lot of the same camera things as they use in Upgrade, where it's like sci-fi action beats, like where I don't know. It's like the steady cam that's like just on his head or something like that. So it's just a weird sort of motion.
It's really good at like panning back and forth between people, like as they were sort of looking like where the hell, and then suddenly the action was.
It was weird because like a cop would turn up and they get murked, and then another cop would turn up and they would look at Elisabeth Moss like, "How dare you?" and then they would get murked, and then some more cops would turn up and go, "Look at Elizabeth Moss," and go, "How dare you?" and then it just keeps.
It's like basically it was like a Streets of Rage.
Ended.
What? So I killed 13 cops, did I? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
While I'm like skating about on the floor, screaming and crying, I've somehow got all these people done, and it's like the people are coming over a couple at a time. You say, I don't know, I didn't necessarily get that every single one of these people was dead. Originally, I was thinking, right, the couple of people he shot, fine, but if he just smashed into a wall, be like, yeah, it'd be all right. Yeah. Like, and the jig's up, Invisible Man. Like people know that this is you now, and there was the bit where he shot the guy from behind. Yeah. People, and the effect here, where he was basically, I really liked it. Versus, it's like other invisible effects, where you have people fade back in slowly, or the Predator, and he gets like a glitchy, like blue electricity effect or something like that. This was great. How he was just blinking in and out, like in a couple of, like, and it would be entirely for like a fraction of a second. You'd just see him and then he'd go, or then the arm would be glitching in and out, and I thought it was brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I liked it.
But he's absolutely brutal. He's also like seems to be weirdly strong. I don't know if that's the suit or something.
Again, they should have had another flashback along with his surprise catchphrase. It'd be like, "You'll never become an optics expert if you spend all your time doing karate." We're like, "Well, I've got to do this. It'll never know when it'll come in handy."
Just needed an extra bit of exposition there for me to really understand.
Incredibly strong, but initially I was because he's got the jump on him, like they're not seeing things coming. That's why he's able to incapacitate people so easily. But then it kind of got a bit more ridiculous, and then the fact that he was like twisting cops' arms and stuff, and.
He must be a karate expert.
Especially if you're a really weedy scientist, though.
So this is a bit of a win today. Just like punch them in the face.
You have to do like the proper like the old style fights that you get in cinema, not the modern, very heavy hitting stuff. You're doing like the James Bond, Roger Moore era, like double fist punch to the back and things like that. Oh,
just go around kicking everyone in the bollocks.
Yeah. The Invisible Man would be a really dirty fight because you'd never see anything. Like everything would be a sucker punch.
Yeah. So super violent. Elisabeth Moss takes a pistol and goes after him. She's gonna do him in some way or another. But there are cops that see him. Like I think there's one cop he even leaves alive outside who's seen him.
He genuinely just shoots him in the leg, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's strange. I don't really know what happens to him. Oh, so he said, "I'm gonna kill the family, the little girl, because you've done this. This is your fault." Elisabeth calls the dad and says, "Go and save her."
She carjacks that man.
Oh yeah, and they're like, "Is she okay?" It carjacks the man, and his wife is like on the phone to him. Is he okay? Is he okay? He's fine.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
She's fine.
That's fine, then I'm completely fine. Oh, he's all right.
Yeah.
Strange.
You've traumatized You've traumatized a new family now, Cecilia. Yeah, she's on the way back, and then she phones James, and he does get there, just in time for the Invisible Man to be attacking his daughter, and she maces him. We see the mace earlier on. It's teased earlier that she has mace.
Yeah.
And the Invisible Man cops it right in the eyes. So the invisible suit is not mace proof.
No.
Yeah.
And he obviously gets into a big old fist fight with the cop, James.
And this
is brutal, man.
Yeah.
James
terrible.
is like the kind of person that could take a few punches and it wouldn't hurt him, but like he's on the floor within seconds. I guess you can't see what you're being punched.
Yeah. You can't prepare yourself for like, oh, it's just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And maybe the invisible suit has got like knuckle dusters in it.
Yeah.
That's true. But then obviously Cecilia does manage to shoot the Invisible Man. Did you see this coming? Was this a moment that you saw coming? Did this hit you?
No, I didn't expect this to happen. What does the daughter do? Oh, she fires a fire extinguisher at him so she can see him, doesn't she? And then she pumps him full of bloody lead.
Yeah. Takes off his mask and it's the brother. I didn't see it coming. It's a nice little twist.
No.
And then... To me, it makes it less believable because he was the weedy brother. How did he beat up James?
Yeah.
I kept thinking so it was obviously it was Adrian at the police station at the mental hospital and all the stuff with the police, and then it's flipped. It becomes the brother when he just obviously goes to the house. Is that
I think the brother's maybe is at the house because you can hear when he talks. It's the other. It's the main.
So
brother guy.
Yeah. So there's at least three invisible suits.
It's a scream technique. There's always been two. So yeah.
There's at least 3 suits, right? So.
Oh yeah, it must be. Yeah.
One suit each, and then Cecilia's eventual suit.
Unless he changed with him and said, right, you're going to do this one for some reason. Here's my invisible suit.
Yeah.
Maybe, but still, that's I guess one of them had to be driving the car. But yeah, even like the reveal of this annoyed me because obviously when it was like, Adrian was captive all along, he'd been held captive, faked his death and stuff, and like he's like all tied up. Oh, I was just like, you manipulative, lying little shitbag.
Quick aside, Ben and Luke, who is more of a gaslighting son of a bitch, Adrian or the guy from Midsummer?
Midsummer. Adrian, 100%. 100%. He is ultimate
worst
douche.
boyfriend. What a dickhead.
I don't know how you felt about this, but when Adrian finally comes into it, and we see him, and he's genuinely in scenes and not invisible, he didn't quite seem like I imagined him to. Like, he seems. I felt like he was putting on an act, but it never kind of fully reveals anything. Does that make sense? Like when in the scene with Cecilia at the end, he does kind of come across as being a bit like, oh, my hands are shaking. But I thought, oh, it's all an act. He's going to drop the act soon, but he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't drop the act.
He drops it enough to the point where I think we know the truth, right? Because he says surprise in his catchphrase way that we've heard many times before.
Catchphrase.
But also, maybe it's nice that it leaves it that teeny tiny bit open where it's like, wait, is he actually the killer or did she just kill him? Kill innocent man.
I think that's the interesting bit, isn't it? Where you come to that final scene where they go and James has kind of been set up to she's wearing a wire, right? So the whole point is that she's probably convinced him to come along.
What's also quite strange, sorry to jump in there, but what's quite strange is that she pretty much is let off. Like, I bet it'd be a lot more complicated for her to get off, just other than just one invisible man turning up. Like,
well,
it would be a
invisible
lot more
suit
complicated.
or the CCTV. You mean of the killing all the guards and stuff?
No, from like killing her sister. I was thinking more.
Well, I mean, you've got an invisible man.
Once you prove the invisible man, there's no one in prison left anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just felt like I felt like it happened a lot quicker and easier than I would have imagined.
Maybe it's ongoing. I mean, maybe he's
maybe it's ongoing.
I don't know. Yeah.
And I guess we don't know. I guess we don't know exactly when that is. Right? Do we? It might have been a long weekend or something. They could have.
Yeah, they figured it out. It took a week or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no one's in prison anymore. Everyone now has reasonable doubt because invisible men are a thing.
Why does he say surprise this time? I can't remember why.
Did she say it to him?
No. Well, he says it for her to go. Oh, you said that when you were invisible. Now I know it's. Now I know I'm not crazy. And I know it's you. I can't remember why he says it. It's like a surprise dinner. He's got all the different things. He says surprise for some reason.
He's got nuggets. He's got.
I got nuggets. Surprise.
He's such a dick, don't he? He's such a dickhead. Like, you honestly can't think of it. Everything you've put her through, even though you're trying to say it wasn't you, that suddenly, I got 3 bloody different Uber Eats over here, and you're going to go, he's a lovely guy after all.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
You got billions, mate. You could have had a chef here. That's poor effort.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get him to essentially admit to what he did, but he won't. He's fully committed to the lie, fully committed to this, and yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his script, hasn't he? He's like, oh, only you get to see my handshake, and I'm like, ugh, you're the worst.
Yeah. You're the worst, man.
Yeah, you're the worst. I hope someone cuts your throat, and then guess what?
Yeah.
Get my wish.
Can we also just recognise, why are people eating dinner with such sharp knives? Does anyone eat their dinner with like a proper sharp knife?
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
essential that they had steak. Then maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Can I have it quite? I'd like it quite rare, so it's pretty difficult to cut. Yeah.
That invisible suit fits her very well. I would have thought if it's a bit too big, the air would look floppy. Like there'd be sort of ripples in the air or something.
But that's true.
Who knows?
Maybe it's one size fits all. Maybe like when he puts it on, it's very tight, but it's breathable enough to stretch out. Might be just the regular size for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a pretty smooth motion where obviously she manages to get it perfectly in the CCTV, so that you can't obviously quite see exactly what happens. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, basically she grabs his hand and brings his own hand across his throat to cut it, and then she comes back from the toilet where she's excused herself and comes onto camera and then goes, oh no, you've cut your throat, you lunatic, you're gonna die of your own hand and it's suicide, definitely. Here's me. And it's like, hello police, my boyfriend's gonna, and then she steps off camera and then it goes
yeah. Loser.
I did it. I'm back.
I got you, didn't I? I got you. But it's such a quick motion, like managing to slice someone's throat and then put the knife in their hand.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think
Quite impressive.
I haven't been through the things that she has, but I think it'd be really difficult to slit someone's throat, even if you're invisible.
Yeah, definitely. You'd have to really let go.
Yeah.
There's got to be a technique to it.
Also, apparently slitting someone's throat, you can't just like a little nick across the thing. You have to go really they call it from ear to ear. Like if you want to kill someone, you have to go all the way across. It's quite a task.
Yeah, and quite a deep one as well. You're not just going to like go, and as soon as that line is done, it's like
yeah.
It's not like you're cutting a snowflake, and if you at Christmas, and if you cut the folded edge, it's ruined. It's not like that.
Yeah, but anyway, so she cuts his throat, makes her like him. James says, "You never came here to eat Burger King, did you?" And then he said, "No." He said he didn't want to get a what do you call it? Confession. I don't know. She never admits to it, does she?
No.
Just like
she pretty much just says
she does this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and then it ends, and it's a good film. So, some trivia for you guys. I really struggled actually. So instead, I just play easy and play the name game. So, all right, number one. So we know the name of the film, The Invisible Man. I've got 5 other movies that are coming out next summer, based on the success of The Invisible Man. So here we got number 1. This one's about a creepy man that makes a suit that splits into 2 suits every time he wears it.
Is it The Divisible Man?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. I was stumped.
I love word games, Ben. I love a word game. You know me.
I was like, The Invisible... got the wrong name.
Number 2. Okay, so when you see this man, you will not be able to stop yourself. It's James. You can't stop yourself with this guy. He is.
You won't be able to stop yourself.
To stop yourself, yeah. The irresistible man.
Irresistible man.
Yeah.
The kissable man.
Yeah, you're irresistible. I can't fucking see you, but you're bloody
This other film's
gorgeous.
coming out next summer, late summer hit. This is going to be from Blumhouse, about a woman who runs away from her long-term boyfriend because she can no longer listen to him go on and on and on about Jeremy fucking Corbyn. It is
the
Jeremy Corbyn.
the oh god, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm gonna kick myself.
We can come back to that one. Oh, okay. You want the answer now? The political man.
Yeah.
The political.
The political man. Oh, as easy
I
as
thought
that.
it was going to be
as easy as that.
No.
Very specific about Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Number 4. So, you're walking down the streets. Okay, this is the pitch of this film. You're walking down the streets and your friend screams and she says, "Look over there at that man." And she says, "Do you see him?" And then you say, "Yes." You reply, "Could you can see him?"
The Visible Man.
Man, yeah.
Correct, yeah. Okay, and the last one. You wouldn't want to mess with this man because he'll mess with you right back. But if you're kind to him, well, he'll be kind to you too.
The reciprocal man?
The reciprocal man.
Well done.
Yeah.
I see, I thought you were going to go the other way, Luke, and open with, like, this elderly lady cannot be seen. The answer to that one, Ben, would have been bonus.
What did you say? This elderly lady cannot be seen.
This elderly lady, perhaps your mother's mother, cannot be seen.
The dead woman.
I think
the invisible grand.
The invisible grand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah!
Well done. 5 out of 5, both of you. Nice one. So we need to rate the film. I've struggled actually with this rating. But I don't know. You go first, Andy.
All right. So for me, I'm trying my best to not get caught up in the hype of I've just seen this recently and it was good, so I'm going to say it's the best film ever. But I did really like it. It was really well made, really well acted, really tense. I think some genuine, actually serious topics covered as well, and not in a way that made it an unpleasant film. It was still a very entertaining movie. So all of those things considered, I'm going to go with, I'm trying to adjust this for deflation already for the future, but I'm going to go with a B+.
Interesting. Okay.
A B plus.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I was pretty hyped for it anyway. But I think it hit all the right notes. It was a really, really good, well, a really, really effective, tense thriller. The horror elements were good as well, and again, yeah, it covered a lot of interesting topics and in ways that felt real. Didn't feel like overly Hollywood. Really well directed, really well written. Maybe lose a little bit just for the way the final scene panned out. I was expecting a little bit more. It felt like a little bit underwhelming, but I'd go as far to give it an A minus.
Yeah, I know what you mean about the ending. Actually, I do feel like the ending doesn't quite live up to the rest of the film.
I get it. You wanted them to get back together, eh? Right, eh?
Yeah. I wanted him to have the invisible baby.
Sequel bait.
I'm going to go with an A minus. It's a great film, really shocking, genuinely tense.
I feel harsh.
You utter barstool. It's good. It's a great film. I mean, I feel like you, Andy. I think I was worried I was going to get a bit carried away with the hype because I came out of cinema thinking that was the best movie I've seen in cinema in a long time.
If we recorded last week as planned, I probably would have been A minus as well. I'm trying to adjust for, the future now, but I'd go and watch it again right now.
Yeah,
when I'm not here,
I'd watch it again. Yeah, I think it was fantastic. Really great film. It'd be interesting to see what Leigh Whannell does next. Did he write this as well?
Leigh Whannell. Written and directed. Yeah. So
would you?
He's going to be like.
Would you see him do another one of these? Would you?
I would see him do another upgrade sort of film, like another sort of cyberpunky sort of thing.
As long as with all these films they don't attempt to, make him in a universe, in the shared universe.
Well, that's the problem with Leigh Whannell. He does make franchises, and probably doesn't get out of them fast enough because he directed like the last Insidious film or something. Yeah. But I feel like
that was before he had that was like the first film he directed, and now he's had such two decent hits.
Yeah. I don't think he should do any franchise. I mean, this is a franchise thing, isn't it? But I mean, I don't think he should do any ongoing sequels or anything like that. He should just crack on making original stuff because he's really good at it.
Because this is I think this film ends in such a nice way that I'm not sure what you could do with it next. Do you have an invisible woman / baby?
Yeah.
Doing what they're doing, or do you? I think it's at a good point to leave it and never actually do anything with it. But it's got so much mileage to leave you wondering. I'm not sure you could ever deliver anything that would be as good as anything people can imagine.
Currently, there is an Invisible Woman film touted with Elisabeth Banks set to star in it, produce adaptation of it based on her own original story pitch. So whether that will still happen, or whether they'll just go, we've already kind of had a hit with that, or maybe if it makes enough money.
Banks,
then...
not Moss. It's a totally different one.
Yeah.
Wait, so Elizabeth Banks is the woman who made Pitch Perfect 2, right?
Yeah. And I think she was involved in Charlie's Angels recently, wasn't she? In some way, not sure if she directed it or. Yeah. So there we go. But again, if it makes loads of money,
these things, though, right? Because all these characters are a public domain, right? So you can do same as where you get 2,000 films in the same year, right? You can.
I want another one.
As many as you want, and technically speaking, it's like Sherlock Holmes. The copyright has lapsed, so you can use the characters as much as you want.
Yeah,
those guys at the asylum can pump out as many Invisible Grand films as they want. Now.
What about The Reciprocal Man? I want to watch that one. Yeah. Okay. So
the Visible Man. The Visible Man is just
the Visible Man. Yeah.
Pretty boring.
The Divisible Man's in X-Men 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks to Kovacs Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, please consider giving us a rating and review in iTunes. Remember to hit subscribe. Head over to our Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. where we like to talk about horror movies and stuff that we're watching. Thanks to my co-hosts Ben and Andy. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you guys.
All right.
Been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye for now.